Hello everybody! Today I'm going to show you how to use my Copper Contraptions datapack. This datapack, well, has kind of gone through a lot of time working on it, not working on it for like ever since the Wild update, I think. Pretty sure. Yeah. It's been a journey, and most of it was like not doing anything because I wasn't working on it because I didn't think I'd ever release this. But thanks to Acorn, he's given me the inspiration to actually, release it. So, go give him some love. The link to his channel will be in the description. And the link to this data pack will also be in the description. So yeah, go down there. Do the thing. Yeah, just do it. Anyway, on to power sources. There are a few power sources to choose from. First, there is the daylight detector, which if you throw a copper block on it, it will produce power whenever there is enough sunlight, as you can see. Next, we have the composter, which if we once again throw a copper block on it, it'll then have the capability of producing power, but for it to actually produce power, we need to fill it up with anything that is compostable, and whenever it fills up, it will then produce a bit of power and empty out. And then we can fill it up again and produce a little bit more power. Next, we got the furnaces. The regular furnace is a bit weaker than the other two, but they all work very similarly. All you gotta do is put something to smelt in it and then give it a fuel source and it'll start smelting. And of course, don't forget to place your copper blocks on top or else it will not work. Anyway, whenever it's cooking, that is when it will produce power. And even if there isn't anything up here to cook, as long as there's still fuel being burnt, it'll produce power. Let's move on to wiring. When a power source outputs power, it always outputs to the block below it. If that block happens to be a lightning rod, it'll flow towards the larger end of the lightning rod and into the next block. If that block happens to be air, then it'll create an electric field that can cause damage, as you can see. If we place a block in the way, the block will then store up electricity. If we were to break this block, then all the electricity will spew out and cause a little bit more. Right there, there's the little bolt of electricity flying around. But yeah, you'll output that electricity and you're gonna have to deal with that electricity being out for a little while, and then yeah. So always try to have your electricity going into your contraptions or else it can cause a shocking mess. Next, we're going to go over how different blocks in the game can manipulate energy in useful ways. First, we got the repeater. The repeater will kind of work like a lightning rod, where it allows energy to flow based off of the direction it's facing. But if we were to lock it like this, which, just so you know, is a normal vanilla feature, like this little bedrock thing, that ain't me. That's actually a vanilla feature that, honestly, I constantly forget about. But anyway, once it gets the locked repeater, it'll then store the electricity right here, and then you can release it if you desire. And there's that little electric bolt going around causing mischief. Next, we have the comparator. The comparator will output energy to one of its sides depending on if it's powered or not. Right now, it's outputting power over this way, and that power is going up there. If we flip this, power it, then it'll start going on this side. This is a great way for distributing power throughout your base and to your contraptions. Next, let's move on to the hopper. As you can see, we have some electricity going into a block right here. If we place a hopper, it'll take the electricity from here and output it down here to this line of copper rods. Now, no matter which way the hopper is facing, it'll always go down. The reason why I did this is so you could actually keep your items separated from your electricity whenever using furnaces as a source of power. One thing that you can also do is you can stop this functionality by locking the hopper, by giving it redstone power, and the electricity will stay there. Next, we have the redstone lamp. If we power up a redstone lamp with this electricity, it'll turn on until it's given a block update. Then it'll turn off and turn on again since there's still power inside of it and there's power going into it still. Because it will store up its power, but every time it turns on, it will use up 1 energy. Now we can actually use an observer to detect this and even cause a little redstone update. If we replace this, I know we can. Yep, there we go. Now it's causing a redstone update. So now we can detect when power is going through somewhere, and we can take out the rest of the power with a hopper, and we can use this signal to either like switch which way the electricity is going, so we can spread power throughout our base and to all of our contraptions. Next, we have the target block. When the target block is powered, it will show how much energy is stored inside it. If you were to take out the energy with a hopper, it'll then show how much energy flows through there every second. Finally, we have TNT. If we power TNT, it will just immediately explode. Just like that. Super simple. Just a simple, quick explosion. Now let's get into what makes this data pack truly unique. The machines. The wonderful, silly, kinda strange machines. First, we have a block miner. You can make a block miner by placing down a dropper and throwing an iron pickaxe on top. Now, if we place this lava bucket here, we can make a simple automatic cobblestone generator, and we could place a hopper to collect the cobblestone. The block breaker will only break blocks that can be broken with an iron pickaxe, but yeah, it's still quite useful, especially for cobblestone generation. Next, we have the block placer, which is made with a dispenser and a piston. Now, if we place some blocks within the block placer, place them right on the ground like that. It can even place things like decorated pots and beehives, as you can see. Now, another thing about it is if we don't have a block below where it's going to place the block, it'll actually have the block fall. And this is how I made that door in the trailer using decorated pots, which is pretty cool. Now, there are some limitations. Depending on what you put in here, like if you put a potato, it actually will not place anything, because the potato plant is different than, has a different ID than the actual potato item. Now, kelp has the same ID and will place water with it. So it's a little silly, but I like it. It's fine. Also, shulker boxes cannot be placed at all just because NBT data is structured differently and I didn't really want to restructure it. So, yeah, dispensers could already place shulker boxes in vanilla Minecraft, so just place your shulker boxes like this. So, yeah. Also, probably like the final limitation is sand. Whenever it detects an item that isn't like a block that can be placed, it'll default to sand. The falling block entity will. So then I have to detect if it's sand and then delete it, but sand is a placeable block. So what do? Well, I just detect if there's sand in the first slot and it will place the sand. But I did not do that for the other slots because I might be a little lazy. It's fine. You can still place your sand, just don't put too much in there. just, I don't know, if you really want to place a ton of sand, just put potatoes as a filter, and then bam. Then you can have a hopper, place all the sand you want. Perfectly fine. Next, we have the air compressor. If we throw 16 breeze rods onto a copper block, it will then produce wind charges if it has enough power, and it needs quite a bit of power. But once you give it enough power, it'll produce wind charges just like this. So now you can make a player launcher and not have to worry about constantly going to the trial chambers and trying to get more wind charges. But it's still kind of pricey to actually make the device using 16 breeze rods. Next, we got the electric bulb. If we throw some glowstone on a copper bulb, it'll turn into an electric bulb. Now, right now, doesn't really seem to be doing that much, but that's because we need to give it some power. So let's give it some power. Doesn't really require that much, but when it is finally powered, it'll produce some light. Now it's kind of hard to see how much light it's actually producing since it's up here, and since it's oxidized, it's not producing that much. But if we were to scrape it, as you can see, even down there, you can see that there's a lot more light around here. And now it has lit up this entire area over here. It's really powerful, and you can even turn it off if you desire. And yeah, that is the electric bulb. Next, we got teleporters. Now, these are quite fun. You make them by throwing an ender pearl on top of some crying obsidian. And you'll see it has an ID here. We'll get back to that. But anyway, we got another teleporter. Teleporters with the same ID will teleport to each other, and if there's like more than like two with the same ID, it'll choose the closest teleporter that isn't itself. And if I sneak on it and it has enough power, which does take quite a bit of power, so let's see if this works. Yep, I've teleported to the other side. And if you want to change the ID, you do /trigger, teleporter ID, sets, and then set it to any value you want, and you just gotta be close enough to the teleporter. So we could do like 17. There we go, it's changed. If I sneak, it fails to teleport and just uses up all my power. But if I set them to both be that, and then I try to teleport, there we go. I've teleported. Now, you have to teleport within the same dimension, and both sides have to be loaded. And obviously the side that you're on will be loaded because, you know, you're on that side. Players load chunks. But if, like, let's say I'm on this side, and I try to teleport to that teleporter and it's not loaded, it's not going to work. It's going to take me to some other one with the same ID that is closer and loaded, or it's just not going to teleport me. Next, we got the chunk loader. This one's going to be useful for the teleporters since it, well, guess what? It loads chunks. And here we go. Now we can see the chunk border if we stand next to it. If we don't, then the chunk border will stop showing. Yeah, if we stand next to it, chunk border, and then if we give it a bit of power, almost forgot to add the copper block, there we go. Now you'll see that the border has become purple, which means this chunk is now loaded. So yep, as long as it has enough power, it'll keep the chunk loaded, and when it runs out, it'll quit loading the chunk. Pretty simple. Next, we got the tree chopper. The tree chopper is very extreme. Takes a dropper and an iron axe, and bam, tree chopper. Now, this thing is very powerful. It can chop down an entire tree of basically any type. It's great for making super crazy productive tree farms of absolute doom. Because this can seriously destroy a lot. We do this, bam. I got a bunch of trees here, and it's gonna tear through all of this. This is actually pretty efficient at trying to minimize lag, but of course, since you're destroying so many blocks that drop so many items, it's gonna lag if you, of course, chop down too many trees at once. So if you are going to clear out like part of a forest and not the entire forest, make sure that the blocks aren't touching. And this right here still counts as touching. Any block next to this block like this, or diagonal, just one block that way, or just any direction, it's gonna get deleted with that one, because it kind of like will follow the trail like that. So, just like that. So that's a little tip when clearing out a forest, because like if you know how dark forest or dark oak forests are, most of the trees are touching. So yeah. Oh no, I just gave you an idea of how to crash your game. Okay. Next one. And now, for our final contraption, we have the Quarry. Quarry is very special. So if I throw a diamond pickaxe on a stone cutter like that, you get your Quarry. Now this one will actually tell you how much energy it has if you stand on it. And basically the way it works is it will mine out any area that you select. So right here, I have this tool that if I go into survival mode, is definitely not a normal netherite pickaxe, because this would break blocks a lot quicker if it was. This is a special one. If you right click with it, it'll set a corner. Right click again, it'll set another corner. Now, if I wanted to mine out this area, I'd go over to the quarry, stand on it, and then right click again. But if you just right click without standing on the quarry, then it'll just forget that location. So yeah, first I'm going to show just a small spot, and then we're going to mine out this entire thing. But yeah, so there we go. I set my location, and now I go to the quarry. So you'll know it's set whenever you hear that sound and see the ender particles, and it'll tell you how much energy you need and how much energy you have. So let's give it some energy. As you can see, it's actively updating to show you how much energy it has. Just put a few more down. Soon. That little sound right there means it has started, and yes, it has. It is now mining the blocks. But now, where's the items going? I don't see the items. Oh no. Well, they're all plopping right here. Just fine. Just right there. And let's say I have some sort of ore, like redstone, that drops XP in multiple items. And it's about to get there. As you can see, it's breaking those just fine. And all the XP and items end up over here. And this actually tries to go at a speed that is a little bit slower than a hopper if like each item, like if each block was one item. Of course, redstone ore is not going to be one item. It's going to be like a few bits of redstone. But usually a hopper can keep up with something like this big stone block. Another thing about it, which since, yep, it's done now. No, it's not done. Right, it's not done. Thought it was. Okay. Anyway, you can still set another location while this is running. And if I set it in the air, like that, we got a big area in the air. And we set it. Okay, we had enough energy and it started. So this will actually try to go faster whenever it's in blocks that it can't break, such as air, or things like budding amethyst and spawners. The reason why I made it avoid budding amethyst and spawners is if you were mining out a large area and was hoping to find some rare blocks like that, then you wouldn't accidentally destroy them using this machine. Now I'm going to set this entire area as something to mine out. Okay, it has been set, and we had enough energy there. Nice. So one thing is that once it gives you that little notification sound like, hey, I'm fully charged and ready to go, and it automatically goes. Once it starts, you cannot stop this. This little thing, unstoppable. Completely unstoppable. Even if you break your quarry. Which, that's actually kind of useful, so then you can, like, have a water stream and have hoppers, just in case you have a very large area that's going to need a lot of storage. So, if we speed this up, you're probably going to wonder, well, where is the items going to go? Well, once it gets to the blocks, there we go. The items will still end up at where the quarry was. So yeah, you can just set an area for the quarry to dig out, and then once it gets enough energy, replace it with a nice place to store all the items, and yeah, you get an entire chunk of the world absolutely eaten. And this machine can destroy extremely large areas. Now it will take time, since it takes time to break all of these blocks, but right now I'm sprinting the game, so the game is running a lot faster than normal. But yeah, it will just tear through basically anything you throw at it. Obviously not bedrock, but any breakable block that isn't rare, like budding amethyst. So we just put some of that in here. As you can see, it's completely safe. Now, that does not mean that other amethyst blocks are safe. Like, if we just quickly put that there, that's not safe, but these are, because if you break these, you can't really get them back. Anyway, that's it for Copper Contraptions. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want this data pack, remember the download link is in the description. And if you want to know when I release even cooler data packs or update this one, which I do have a plan for an update for this one, then you should subscribe and hit the bell so you will be notified whenever I add even more crazy contraptions to this data pack. Anyway, see y'all and have a nice day. Goodbye.